You guys will be breaking off and you're going to be looking at specifically scoring strategies. Okay, so how many of you guys have actually seen one of these kickoff or one of these challenges? You watch the videos, you kind of understand what you're getting yourselves into. How many don't really know what you're getting yourselves into? Okay, so they're gonna have a 3D animated, what would you call it? A 3D animated video of kind of the challenge, and then they also do sort of a human mock of the challenge, where they get in like little fake robots and they go around and they sort of show you, a game, kind of a mock-up game. When you watch those, you kind of get some ideas about, okay, hey, one option is shoot the balls in the goal. Okay, that's going to be really challenging. The easy challenge, if you throw them in the low goal. Okay, then there might be this red herring challenge of, shooting it from half court or whatever. Be aware of all those things. And then in your breakout group, if your focus is on scoring, well, what's going to be the best way to win? Okay, is the best way to win going to be focusing on the most difficult scoring strategy, or is it going to be focusing on the easiest strategy and just scoring as much as possible? I mean, if I spend 6 weeks trying to build a device that'll get me 50 points in one shot, but I can only get that one shot 10% of the time, I may just shot myself in the foot. So kind of be thinking about that sort of thing. And you can have different strategy or different team focuses, looking at, okay, it's all going to be different based on the challenges and the problems that you're facing. So based on what you come up with in the big group, in terms of your challenges, that'll sort of dictate, okay, you're going to work on challenge 1, you're going to work on challenge 2, you're going to work on challenge 3. And then what you're hoping for is that in these small groups, they're going to come back to the big table with a more refined look into how to, or which of those challenges would be best addressed in what ways. Okay, so you're kind of breaking off, kind of doing a little bit more focus and having more conversations. So like when you're sitting in your big table or in the big conference room and you're all talking together, there's one conversation going on, right? So everybody's kind of focused on the same thought. Once you break up into little subgroups, you've got multiple conversations going on. And each of those conversations, if you think of them like a branch of a tree, everywhere that branch is off, then you get another branch. And so those are like ideas, sprouting. So you kind of want to do a big group just to get the initial thought going. And then you break off and you let more ideas go from there. So that's kind of a really powerful concept of these little subgroups. Again, in those subgroups, have somebody recording the ideas so that you can bring that back to the main group. Try to get your little subgroup to reach consensus on whatever it is your goal was. So if it's scoring, come together on what would be the best scoring strategy. Okay? Because then what you're going to want to try to do is come back to the main group and convince them that this is where we want to go. All the work you do along this process is important. So if you're a subgroup and your goal is to come back with scoring strategies, come back with some valuable information to make the team so that you don't have to continually revisit what's the best scoring strategy. Okay? Because you don't have time. That is the time to figure that out. So make sure if you're on a small team, you focus on it and you get it done. Can't stress enough at this point, you're still not focusing on designs. And it's very, very difficult to keep this concept, like to honor this concept. And what I mean by that is, when you're saying we want to be able to pick up the game piece, we're not saying we want to design an articulated arm that will grab the game piece. We're just saying we want to be able to pick up the game piece. Okay, that's all we're looking at right now. Once you've reached consensus within your small group, and I think we did like, what, about an hour on this? Hour and a half maybe, in the small groups. You're going to come back and you're going to report back to the big group. So somebody's going to have to do that. Explain the general ideas of that small group. The main group's going to listen and absorb all these ideas, and again, it's going to trigger more ideas. okay, which is a good thing. You want to allow yourself to develop those new ideas, and you want to record them. Now, at this point, it's going to be impossible not to start thinking, oh, how could I do that? Okay, that's when this really starts happening. But you want to try to hold off on the how until last minute, because as soon as you start thinking how, you get focused on that. I think I might have already said that. Don't try to select your designs at this point, still, okay? You're still just listening for ideas and allowing yourself to develop more ideas. You do, at this point, want to select your chassis design, though. So it's a big group before you leave for the day. Make sure you've selected a chassis design. Anybody go to Madison's presentation on chassis design yet? Okay. Lots of great information in that presentation. Hopefully somebody from each team will have gone to that presentation, or if you don't have anybody that went to it, download her presentation. It's a fantastic presentation. With that information, if you look at that prior to the third, which you should, look at that, you'll have all of the information you need to make a really good decision here. Yeah? FIRSTWA.org. Kevin Ross is going to put all of these presentations up online, so you'll be able to download them. So my point here is that with this information here, you sort of have to kind of figure it out, right? At this point, the chassis, what I mean by chassis is the wheels, the drive motors. Is it going to be 6-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive? Is it going to have Omni wheels or crab drive or whatever? That's already figured out for you. What's figured out is if the game requires speed, these are the 3 best design options. If the game requires maneuverability, these are your best 3 options, or whatever, okay? So you have all that decision, or that information, you can make that decision at this point, okay? Keep the 2 ideas separate, because you can leave this meeting and the very next day start building the chassis. We've made the mistake in the past of having the chassis design and the overall design combined, and we have to wait until we select everything to start building anything, and that just, you end up waiting too long, okay? So if you do this, you're kind of helping yourself along down the road. Now you can see there might be problems with doing it this way, in that your chassis design may limit you in this main design. But if you've selected this design, it's a starting point, and then it just becomes one more constraint in your overall design. Does that make sense? It's like a puzzle that you're putting your first piece in. Okay, so once you've gotten to the point where you watch the videos, you've had your kickoff, you did your main brainstorming, broke off into little subgroups, you come back, you report. Everybody's got ideas just flowing out of their brains at this point. Okay? Now what we need to do is sort of organize that into getting the job done. The ultimate goal here is to have designs that you can present at a design review, and then the overall team can come together and select one design. Okay? It doesn't work to have 10 designs going on at the same time. You gotta have one design, one focus. So have a little strategy in place, and like I said, you want to have this in place up front. I would even go so far as to say before the kickoff, structure your little sub-teams. Okay, know the 4 of you are going to be on a sub-design team, and Mike's going to be your mentor. Okay, what days can you meet? Okay, let's meet we have flexible schedules. We're going to meet Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday afternoon. I mean, meet a lot, because you're going to want to do a lot of work here and coming up with some design, right? You're going to look at things like scoring methods, defensive methods, ways to grab the object. All those things you're going to look at as a group, and then you need to break up into little action tasks. Go ahead to the next slide. You're going to have to break it up into who's going to do all these different things. And do you have somebody in your little subgroup that's going to do the calculations? And making sure that you can actually lift a 10-pound object with an arm extended, with a 1 motor. Do you have the torque requirements?